Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome, everybody. Let's see who's in. Bill M.E., Tronite, Ghosty333, Floyd Bradley. Let's see who else. Tronite, I think I got that one already. Not a ton of people tonight. It is the night before 4th of July for the United States, so people might be busy. Moonlit Illusions in. Just kind of checking up on what you guys are all talking about. Shari D's in. Hey, how you doing? Talking about alligators and stuff. Okay, first of all, I should mention the thumbnail. That was actually the sunset near my house a couple days ago. My camera actually did a decent job of catching it. I call it the orange juice sunsets. We've getting a lot of sunsets that look like orange juice in the last couple of years. I've noticed that one about 3 years ago. The sun sets and there's kind of this weird orange juice glow. I did not used to have that. That color is a weird color. But anyways, I'm getting used to it now finally after all this time. All right. Second thing I wanted to talk about is right off the bat, Dark Wolf's Den mentioned this in the chat a while ago, and it was like the middle of the night, and I kind of forgot about it for a while, but then I remembered. So anyway, he's got a conference that he's going to run for the ME. It's in Idaho, November, what was I said it was? November, well, anyway, it's on the description. I think it was November 2 or something like that, or 8 to 10, I think it was. Anyway, so check it out. You can find his channel, Dark Wolf's Den, where he has some ME stuff. And this is the ME conference announcement. Talks about where it'll be and all that yam yam. So it's open to the public, so you just want to contact him. He's only charging $10 for the actual conference. I'm assuming that most people will also need to get a hotel and airfare and stuff like that. But the conference itself is like almost no dollars. So, I mean, $10. If you can afford to pay gas, then you can afford the $10. So that's very minimal. So anyways, I don't know what all he's got planned, but, Idaho can be a beautiful country. There's things to do there, and just talking with people about the ME. I'm definitely thinking of going. I have to see what's going to happen when I get closer to November, but it's definitely of interest, I think. So I wanted to just highlight that. Also, if you guys can kind of post this around on the other channels and stuff, I don't know how much that's really been done. I haven't really seen mention of it anywhere else. I posted it on Redcon. So yeah, try to get the word out. Okay, so I also posted the link to this on my description for this video, so it'll be at the top of the description. So if you lose track of where it is, just go to this video, the description underneath, which would be, well, I don't know, I don't have it up, but okay. So anyways, there's that. So check out Dark Wolf's conference, and you can check out his videos, see, kind of get to know him a little bit. You won't be going to a totally stranger's place, and it will be at a hotel, I think. So, public place and all that. Yeah. All right. Now, this one actually struck me on multiple levels. I just saw this a few days ago. The Dalai Lama. There's a number of changes that really struck me. The first one was that I remember the Dalai Lama always saying that he would be the last Dalai Lama, because China controlled Tibet, and China was trying to pick the next Dalai Lama, and so he basically was saying there's going to be no more after me, because whatever happens to Tibet now would be controlled by China. It wouldn't be the normal religion choosing. And that always made total sense to me. But now there's a whole nother story. Apparently he never said that. He now has said that the successor will be chosen by the Tibetan people. And if they want a successor, then they will choose one. And Dalai Lama looks different to me now. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but he just looks kind of more, and the way he speaks, he used to be much more scholarly sounding. His English was better. He kind of reminds me of a silly grandpa now more than he used to, but he's also saying things that I don't think my old Dalai Lama would ever say. And one of the things that he said was, if a female Dalai Lama comes, she should be more attractive. If not, people I think prefer not see her, that face. And then he goes on to say that she should wear makeup, that what's inside is important, but so is what's outside. Appearance is important. Blah blah blah. I've never heard any talk like that. There's another quote of him in another place where he's talking about, I know, a little bit questionable about Europe should be for Europeans and they should send the Muslims back. And I've never heard him like chime in politically like this, but this thing about the women is extra bad. I'm going to play this clip. Hopefully I don't get a giant copyright strike from it, but
you once said that you would be open to a female successor.
Okay, so that's the first part, is that he used to be not open to any successor. There was no successor. There was no discussion, male, female. He basically said he was the last Dalai Lama. He said that for a long time. All right, now here's the weird part, the extra weird part.
That's also possible.
You also told one of my colleagues that female must be attractive, otherwise it's not much use.
Okay, yes.
So he's saying that his successor, if she's female, she has to be attractive or it's not much use. That makes like no sense. It's not like he's like super hot or anything. That's just, it's not like anything I've ever heard of in Buddhism. It's the way he talks is not at all like the Dalai Lama I remember.
Can you see why that comment upset a lot of women?
That is one time. If female Dalai Lama comes, and should be more attractive. If female Dalai Lama, that people, I think, prefer not see that face.
Can you see why a lot of...
So he says people prefer not to see a dead face, I guess is what he says. And then later on he goes on to say that she should wear makeup. Anyways, you can watch this clip yourself. The Dalai Lama insists his female successor should have an attractive face, by Sophie Lewis. Anyway, you can... This clip's in a lot of places now anyways, but... I've talked before about it. Just seems like all the old famous people of the old timeline are all being kind of torn down. They've been debunked. They've even Lincoln, and now it's the Dalai Lama. Every last one. I can't really even think of any famous person that hasn't sort of been maligned in the current timeline. So, I mean, here he maligns himself, so it's on tape. He said it. Although this guy just doesn't sound nor look like the Dalai Lama I remember. Anyway, so just had to go into that. So there's the personality plus that. I can't find anywhere where he said he was the last Dalai Lama now, and that was everywhere before. I should have been able to find traces of it, but I just can't. So yeah, and also I want to mention that he said this before, and this interviewer is asking him again, "Are you sure?" And he's saying it even more. So it's not like some slip of the tongue or anything. This was like 6 days ago. Not too long ago, he also sent some other kind of questionable thing about Europe and Europeans. This one's worse, though. This one's a lot worse here. Have you seen the change to Washington State? Hold on to something. Washington State. No. I haven't really looked. Is it different shape now or something? I'm not keeping up with the other channels like I used to, so I'm a little bit spaced on some of these. You know, he doesn't look, his face looks longer to me, and not in, ironically, for somebody who's bagging on ugly looking women, being the Dalai Lama, I don't think he's as good looking as he was in the other timeline either. But for sure, his voice, he had pretty good English, just a touch of accent. You could hear him really easily, and he'd clip along pretty quickly. You could tell he was sharp. This guy just seems like, some old grandpa from another country who doesn't really know what's up in America. He doesn't seem very Buddhist to me. Now there's a story about Hitler wanting to be a priest when young. Yeah, I mean, what is this? Hitler's going to become the good guy here, or what? Oh, I don't know. Dalai is against makeup. Now, you know what? He goes on to say women should, he talks about women, at least the Dalai Lama, if she's a woman, should wear makeup. So this Dalai is for makeup with women because he says that what's inside is important, but so is appearance. In this version of him. With Clown World strikes again. Yeah, everything is like flipped over. Everything is like opposite land. Yeah, it's even more opposite land than it ever was. Sharidi, he has lost his mind. There's a bunch of reasons why I think this is an Emmy. One is he always said that he would be the last Dalai Lama, and I can't find any trace of that. And everybody's acting like he's always said that there could be a successor, and he's always there. They're not saying, "Oh, did you change your mind?" They're all agreeing that he always said that the people of Tibet would pick the successor. Now, the whole reason the old one said no is because China controlled the process of the successor selection. They completely took over that process. Therefore, it was not the normal process, and so he said there can be no more. So they would at least be saying, "Oh, he changed his mind now." Nope, they're saying he always said that. Also, his face looks different, and the way he talks. I mean, unless I heard he had a stroke or something, his accent and the way he talks is very different now, very different. And I wasn't able to find any tapes with him, the old version of him. I'll look a little more, but this is him now in this timeline as far as I can tell. That exactly, chariot of faith. That's not even Buddhist philosophy. I know. That's nothing. I've never heard of that kind of a thing come out of any Buddhist mouth. Certainly not any high-ranking Buddhist mouth. If she's going to be the successor, she has to be attractive and wear makeup. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, no freaking way. You know how they work out their successor, the incarnation of the last Dalai Lama. I know how it was, how they said it was quite a number of years ago. I would actually have to make sure it's the same in this timeline. But as I recall, there were certain signs that they looked for in all the neighboring villages through Tibet. And they were signs of, like, basically the old one, the previous Dalai Lama reincarnated. And then when they heard that one of the children born at the right time was exhibiting these signs, then they had special questions that they would go and ask him. And they were questions that supposedly that a child could not know unless he was really the incarnation. There would be questions about the old Dalai Lama, that kind of thing. So that was how supposedly they found the successor. But what I was to understand in the old timeline was that China was basically choosing the new successor at that point. And that's why the Dalai Lama said there can be no more, because the normal process would not be able to function because China had intervened. And they were basically going to put their puppet on the throne, so to speak. So I don't know if that's how it is in this timeline. Actually, I have not looked into that. Yeah, it's supposed to be the same one reincarnated. Alexander the Great had ailurophobia, fear of cats. Ugh, I don't know, whatever. I mean, it's just all this weird stuff's coming out. Ghosty 333, that's no way for a Buddhist. I know, it's completely, I mean, those statements are just anti-Buddhist, basically. I mean, even if maybe as a man he prefers to see an attractive woman, I mean, you would still know as a Buddhist that is not proper Buddhist philosophy. You would not just flap that out of your mouth. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm not that well versed in Buddhism, but even I know that much. I would never say something like that if I was trying to represent Buddhism. And she even called him, you know, he said it multiple times. She called him on, are you sure? Do you see how that would upset people? Man, he doubled down on it. The bit he said about Europe makes sense in some ways. Yeah, that one was a little borderline. Yeah, I mean, I could see, okay, but this one here with the women thing, no, I don't see any way that you can pawn this one off as being Buddhist. It just, no. Ghosty 333. Yeah, you remember the same as me that the successor had to pick out the objects from the past life. At least that's the way it was a long time ago. It probably would pay to check into that again to see if that's still how it's done. It's me, Sia's in. Therion K. Knight. He might be getting old and senile. You know what? I don't think so. I just can't find the old Dalai Lama. I mean, this is a whole different one, and I don't see. Like I said, they're agreeing he's always said that. It was not that many years ago when he absolutely was not saying that. I just can't find the old version or any of the old statements at all. No, Dalai Lama would not speak like that. Exactly. I mean, I could see if he just suddenly did a flip-flop and said new things, but then if that's the case, the interviewers would know about the old versions. You would be able to find the old statements. The question would be, what made you change your mind about the successor? It wouldn't be, you have always said, you know. It's even like they even make a point of saying that he always said that. No, he didn't. He didn't always say that. Sad to see it being corrupted too. Everything is. I know every person that we're once looked up to suddenly is now, I don't know. Everything has just been dogs. Oops, hold on. I dropped my paper. Anyways, well, we'll see what happens. Okay. Gosh, where to start? Where to start? Okay, we'll start there. We'll start with the gross ones and we'll end with the cute ones. It wasn't that long ago that I was looking into this. There were no live versions of the Cyclops, but now there are live versions. This little goat with the Cyclops eye survived. And this is like 2016 when I was seeing this is a All right, they published in 2017, but I'm seeing 2016 as a year for this video first being made. So this thing lived at least a couple weeks, and then I can't find any updates anywhere. So who knows? Maybe this timeline hasn't decided whether it'll live longer. But this was like in 2016 approximately. And I was just looking into this a couple months ago, and there were no living versions of a Cyclops at that time. Now, I kind of am going to toot my own horn a little bit because I've kind of called this one. When that viral video, with that viral photo of the Cyclops shark was found, I predicted that we would see more and more Cyclops. And there were no others at that time. I actually looked, I was about 2-3 years ago, and there was nothing. Now there's a whole bunch of these Cyclops creatures being born, and some are living now. So I called this one. And people are saying this thing looks hideous, but it doesn't look any worse than some of those weird, creepy goats that I've had on that are actually a species. Pick up some images. Okay, so here's another one. Isn't the only one in recent years. This one was alive for a while in the USA. Whoops, actually, it looks like there was another one there. Was this one? Huh. Some kind of weird pig with super wrinkly eyes, apparently. Not sure what that thing is. All right, so here's another thing born Cyclops. Ragdoll kitten was born. One eye. None of these things were here last time I checked. None of them. There's another one, baby goat with one eye. Here's another one. The heck is that? Is that real? Is that real? No, it's real. Demon baby goat. Anyway, so needless to say, there are... what's this one? Okay, it's taxidermy, but supposedly it's real. Two-headed goats. Check that out. Anyways, none of these. Oh, this is the one that I covered before. This weird breed of goat. That's actually supposed to be a healthy goat of that species. Oh, here's another Cyclops. All right. So, anyways, the Cyclopses are here. That's all I have to say. Oops, looks like another one. Oh, you guys talking about the raccoon dogs. Those were actually in my timeline going back about 6 or 7 years. I've covered, I think I've mentioned it like last week maybe. They look a little more cute now, a little more fluffy than they did 6 years ago when I looked into them. But they are called tanuki in Japan, and I learned about them kind of through anime and stuff, but... So yeah, they have them. Evidently, it's common with goats now to be born deformed like that. Oh, really? I didn't know it was common. There's definitely a bunch of them. In a few weeks, we'll probably hear about a family of humans. Yeah. Gonna type it in, might regret this. Yep. You made me do it. I'm blaming it on you. Ugh, nope. All right, I'm done. All right, so yeah, some kids were born that way. I'm not checking to see if they lived. Couple of MEs. Whoa, this thing is moving along so quickly. All right, so couple MEs. There's a painting. The angel's wings were white, then they were black. Now they're multicolored. This timeline loves their multicolors. Definitely. You covered the Cyclops goat before saying the same thing you just said. I don't remember saying that it was live though, but you know, the old videos will alter to match the current timeline. So in my timeline, I did not say it was live. I can't say what I said in this timeline. Yeah, I'm a little tired, but not real bad today. I actually felt really, really tired earlier in the week. I'm kind of recovering today. Now, go see 333's, yeah, the Wasp Super Nests. I do have that on my list. Just got my notification. Yeah, you know, YouTube notifications. So Washington State is totally changed. You know, I'm such an American. I really don't remember what it looked like before. I know my state changed. I know the states nearby changed. Let's see. Let me just look at USA map. Bum, 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 bum. If you're talking about like all these islands and stuff stabbed into the middle, that's been something I've been kind of looking at for a while. All right, let's look at this one then. Because that island there, Vancouver, when I started doing my map 3 years ago of this region, that Vancouver Island was out here. And I've been watching it kind of dock with the mainland for some time now. At first, it was just the end. Now it's pretty much in there. I mean, it really isn't much of an island anymore. I wonder if it'll stop being an island. But it's been gouging in over here in Washington and poking out this corner. This river's been growing up in here for some time. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I mean, that area right there is definitely quite a bit different. But yeah, I don't know the other states as well. I actually do know that one just because I've been watching Vancouver Island slam into the mainland. Oh, the southern border is messed up. Yeah, I just don't know the fine details of Washington that well. Sorry. Ask me about California. I probably have something to say, but I mean, there's a lot of changes here. This little end down here is all weird. It's gouged in over here. It's way smaller. Sacramento is in the wrong spot. A bunch of stuff at California. But, yeah, Washington, Canada's top is going to pieces. Yeah. I think that, people here swear that all of the big cities in Canada were always on the border. But for me, no, they weren't. I mean, I think Vancouver was way up here more. It's way down there somewhere now. Um, this is a nice map. I like this map. Everything is down here now, and it's shredding up here. But I'll tell you what, a bunch of these islands up here are kind of newish. I just had little speckles when I mapped out this place in like 3 years ago. this whole Elizabethan island business is totally newish. And Greenland was like way over here. This area was squashed more west, and Greenland was over here. And it's just this area has been falling down like a saggy diaper. Hudson Bay has been sinking and expanding, and Greenland has been cruising up here. And I mean, look at it, it's almost on the North Pole now. I mean, Greenland is going to be like the new Arctica. On a lot of globes, there's kind of like top cap that keeps the shaft in place so that the globe can spin. And this Greenland actually goes up under that cap for my globe. Alaska, yeah, got a lot bigger. It hasn't expanded too much, but these islands out here are growing. People were talking about on Redcon, people were talking about the Bering Land Bridge that was here. That used to be a really long, that's how they thought that the Native Americans got here. They were supposed to have traveled over the Bering Land Bridge when the waters were lower. And they were able to walk across. But actually, you can walk across here now in the winter, just over the top of the ice. And it's only 55 miles, and there's 2 islands in between. I mean, you could just canoe across. So it wouldn't be like a big mystery how Native Americans could get over here. They could just cruise right across. This is so close. But, I mean, they're starting to change the story now anyways on how they got over here, but that's how it used to be, this big thing, like how they get here. Well, this used to be a huge space in between the two. Now they just, God, you could walk over in a few days or just cruise over. All right, anyway. Hudson Bay keeps getting bigger. Yep. Although I haven't seen any huge movement on that. 3 years ago, I saw a ton of movement and expansion, and then like that whole year. But it hasn't changed a ton for me. Those little islands and stuff up in the Northwest Passages, now there's more than one. Those kind of shifting around, but it kind of was like really busy in Canada for a while, and now it's kind of slow there. I mean, there's still changes, but they're real slow. At least for me. I mean, who knows what time frame you guys are on. Lake Tahoe keeps moving north. Yeah, Vancouver Island was actually out off the coast for me. It was not smashed into the mainland. I actually watched that move in. I mean, my old map, I drew it, and it was out at the ocean along the side there. Also, it's really chewy in here. It used to be pretty smooth sides, and now it's all like chomped up. And here, this is growing. These were just little islands here, and now they're just like expanding like little horns. It's like first the Emmy puts the dots, and then they fill in the slots in between. I remember Washington with a W, huh? Nope, not for me. I don't think so. Look at those low clouds behind the Capitol. Yeah, the clouds are still getting a little lower every year. Now there's fossils of a marsupial lion. Yeah, right. Yeah, no, there was none of those. We could invade Greenland and announce it as part of Canada. Yeah, I mean, why not? It really looks like it should be part of Canada now. But, who knows what kind of timeline we'll get. Maybe eventually it will be. Yep, I do remember Arctica. Please don't let me ever forget. Walk across. Yeah, it freezes all the way across that Bering Land Bridge now in the winter. Cobalt blue tarantula. I think I've seen that one already. UK is level with Greenland. Yep, looks like it. Let's see. All right, so there we got the North Pole. There's Greenland. So, so now you're still a little further away, but not by much. I mean, there's the end of Greenland, and then there's maybe the very, very north tip up here. You guys might be tickling each other as far as the latitude, but longitude, I think that is, whichever one's this way. Let's see if I can get that right at the top. Now it looks like there's still a little bit of space in between. You are still south. Oh, that was something I wanted to discuss. Okay, I knew there was something about this. Okay, so back to this story. All right, this is an interesting one. I don't know if you remember, but I know that I remember that I said that there was an Emmy about Sarah Palin. She said, "You can see Russia from my house," and everybody laughed at her because that was her argument for why she had a lot of experience in foreign policy, because you could see Russia from my house, which is, silly. And people just, some people totally made fun of her. And others were just saying that she was trying to say that Russia's really close to Alaska. But nobody argued that you could actually see Russia from her house or anywhere in Alaska back then when that happened for me. Then, I don't think it was that long ago that I noticed that now you could see Russia from Alaska. They said you could see it from the coast of Alaska. You could see Russia. So then what Sarah Palin said was not that wrong anymore, basically. So they were saying, cut her some slack. Well, guess what? Now you can't actually see Russia from Alaska anymore because of the curvature of the Earth. So I don't know if the Earth got smaller and there's more curvature. A lot of us have been thinking that the Earth has been shrinking. At least the waterways seem less compared to the land mass. So anyways, it's now not true anymore that you can see Russia from Alaska unless you bop out onto one of these islands. There's 2 islands in between here now. And if you stand on one island that belongs to Alaska, you can see the other island that belongs to Russia. And so now they're saying, well, you can sort of see it. But it used to be that you could see it from standing in the coast of Alaska, is what they were saying. So that story has changed. And also, Sarah Palin now never said you can see Russia from my house. In my timeline, she absolutely said that. But the argument in this timeline that it was only from an SNL Saturday Night Live spoof that made fun of her saying you could see Russia from my house. In my timeline, no, Palin really said that. So apparently in this timeline, she said something to the effect of you could see Russia from an island off the coast. I think it actually, what she said was very correct for this timeline. So they didn't make fun of her that much. Apparently SNL made fun of her unfairly in this timeline. So that is totally flip-flopped a couple times. I remember Arctica so clearly. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yes. Yeah, I was talking to my friend about a week ago, and it was very interesting because I had been really kind of avoiding talking to her about the Mandela Effect, but she knows that I do a live stream, and I had kind of talked to her about it a bit, and I saw that she was pretty much a local and a skeptic, so I didn't want to talk about it anymore. I just kind of would get info from her, but I wouldn't talk about why. But she kept bugging me about my live stream and what's about, so I finally told her, and I kind of grilled her a little on some Mandelas. And it's very interesting because she remembers the moon phases being due to the shadow of the earth. She totally remembers being taught like that. She thinks it's still like that. And she was taught that way. It never occurred to her that it's not like that. Well, it's not like that anymore. That is now an old wives' tale in this timeline. That was fact in the old timeline. But weirdly, she remembers the the weird tipped moons and all this other stuff. But you know what's interesting, because she just basically has one memory from childhood, and she has that one memory of seeing that, of her mom talking about the Cheshire moon, the moon when it looks like a smile. She has that one memory. She jumps on that memory and goes, "Oh yes, I remember my mom talking about the Cheshire moon." I I I think that a lot of these people, when they say they remember it, they basically have one memory of the past, and that's all you need. You just need one memory. I remember when I was 10, I saw this when blah blah happened. So the ME, if you want to get the download, basically you just need one memory. It doesn't have to change all about your whole personality or anything. One little thing, one little tiny segment of memory, and now you think it's always been in your timeline. But what is very interesting about her is that if the moon was always as she says, with the Cheshire moon and all that, that does not fit with the shadow of the earth storyline. It does not fit at all. I do not see how she would. And she was actually like really smart in school and got good grades and all that. She wasn't like an airhead or anything. So I don't see how she would learn that the shadows of the earth make the moon phases and it not be true in her timeline. That's what I don't get. I don't see how she'd get all the way to, and she's no spring chicken either, neither am I. I don't see how she'd get to now thinking that erroneously all the way till now if it wasn't fact. So that's one of the things that makes me think that there must be some kind of download thing, because if that was always her timeline, she should have some slight clue about how the sun and the moon operate in this timeline, and she has none. No clue whatsoever. So that's very weird. And I asked her about Arctica. She does not remember the word Arctica. She does remember a land mass at the North Pole. Now, what she thinks happened, and I don't know where she got this from, but she remembers being taught that there was a land mass at the North Pole, and then later they changed it. And in her mind, they changed it because they got more information. And they figured out that there was actually no land under there. So in her mind, at first they thought that there was land, and then somewhere along the line they realized there wasn't. Now that's impossible, because that was like the 50s or the 60s that they were running submarines under the ice at the North Pole in this timeline. And so there's no way that any time she was alive, they would not have known that it was just ice over there, and according to this timeline. So her story is impossible in this timeline. It does not fit. But in her mind, they just learned more. And, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, were we really that stupid in 1970 that we didn't know if there was land or not under the North Pole? So that's one of the things that really, these kind of things really make me wonder if there's downloads or something, because it's like she remembers half of the old world and half of the new world, and she's got this lame excuse. She really does remember them like learning that there was not land under there, though. She remembers that. So I don't know. Weird. So anyways, yeah, I do think that there's downloads. I was kind of reluctant to take on that concept, but I've just seen so much evidence of it. I'm not saying that I think everything is downloads, but I do think that people get in this timeline, and some people are susceptible to the downloads, and they may not be local. They may just have gotten the downloads. It's me. Sia remembers Arctica. Baddest. Ray remembers Arctica. It's getting more of an ME lately. There was a while when like nobody remembered Arctica hardly. There was only like 2 people I knew online that remembered Arctica. Denmark. Canada would have to go to war with Denmark to take over Greenland. Greenland used to be a lot more towards Europe for me, a lot more. So it made, it didn't make perfect sense that Denmark had it, but it was somewhat plausible. Now it looks kind of ridiculous. I wonder, maybe way back it was really close to Denmark. Now I do wonder that, because it was like halfway to Denmark in my memory. Maybe in 1950 it was right next to Denmark. You have to wonder. UK looks low down. UK, what are you up to? I'll tell you, the thing is, for me, Norway, Sweden, Finland were over here on top of Poland, Germany, and they just blopped over like this. Denmark was smaller, at least compared to all these other countries. I actually think that these other countries may have shrunk or something, and Norway, Sweden didn't. And so, anyway, at some point, was it about 8 months ago, 8 months maybe, it jumped over here for me. Now, one other person says he remembers Denmark being over here, but anyway, so this being bigger makes UK look lower to me. UK is definitely way closer to the mainland, though. I think this whole area here is kind of dropped down and UK hasn't, is kind of how I feel about this mess. I think that there used to just be more Europe up here. It's kind of compressed down. Europe is such an incredible mess, I want to say. It looks so different. It's very hard to figure out what's going on over here anymore. Look at Mediterranean Sea is almost bigger than, probably is bigger than all of Europe now. Europe used to be so much bigger compared to the Mediterranean Sea. Europe is, it freaks me out. It was about the size of like Russia before. Russia was one big country, but Europe was, at least that big. Look at Kazakhstan is almost bigger than Europe. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Europe makes me crazy. Don't get me started on Europe. I'll be here all day complaining about it. Canada pushed Ohio down. Michigan has Canada on one side. Yeah, everything over here by the Great Lakes to me looks totally weird. I don't, what was it, the state now? Michigan's got 2 segments. I never had 2 segments in my old timeline. This segment up here is getting bigger and bigger too. Yeah, this all, United States used to go across like this, and then just a little bloop of you, but it was really flat. Canada is totally invading over here. It's putting its little fingers down. And, the Great Lakes have totally sunk. These 2 side lakes have gotten really big. These are tiny little podunk things before. They're getting huge. But, all the lakes and rivers pretty much are expanding. That's one of the big, big, big trends. Japan is so bent in the lower half. Boink. Huh. It really is looking more like a dragon all the time over there. This sea by South Korea is very slowly snaking in. I see more tendrils. Right here, this area is slowly expanding and wiggling in over here under Korea. Japan looks more like a dragon every minute. Although now, this could be a head or this could be a head. It looks like one of those seahorses too. This is one I keep thinking is going to snap off. It got really, really narrow like this, but this appendage has not snapped off. I keep thinking it's going to, but it hasn't. It looks like it's really expanded, actually, but... I mean, look at it. It's almost as big as Japan now. Wow. You know, I could just go on and on about these things. I think she can even touch Russia from her house. 55 miles between the two, and there's 2 islands in between. There'd be no problem people crossing over that little area. 55 miles, and you can see the islands. So you just island hop over. And in the winter, you can walk. Kazakhstan is just inflating like it's ridiculous. Although I'm not sure if maybe just everything else is shrinking and making Kazakhstan look big. Maybe a little of both. Europe is so tiny now. Or south. Poland was east of Germany. Wait a minute. Wait, where am I going? Let's go to Europe. All right. Poland is still east of Germany, though. North, south. Okay. You kind of scared me there for a minute because I'm like, last I checked it is. Poland is east of Germany. And for me, Finland, Sweden, Norway was right here. And they were a lot smaller. And then they snaked around and then tickled Denmark over here. And then they just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And suddenly they jumped over here onto Russia. And they've been getting bigger and bigger since then. These waterways are all hooking up in here, too. This whole thing here has just been snaking in. At first, this wasn't here so much like that. It's snaking in over here at Latvia. Latvia has a big bite out of it now. This Baltic Sea. Yeesh. Okay. Oh, yeah, Mongolia. Will Mongolia have access to the sea? That's a good point. It will have always had it. Still a bit of a ways. But, see these rivers just snake in here. This has gotten really big right here. I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to hook up in here somewhere. I think all these rivers are coming in. They're going to come all in. There's going to be, in the Bible it says there's one giant river. In the end, after the end times. And I really look at this and I go, I really think that that's what it's working on. North Korea borders Russia. Yep. Water between Sweden and Finland is bending. Yeah. Through in here. And then also this little appendage here. It's like an amoeba. It's just sending out its little fingers. Some days I think others are just in denial. Then other days I think, hello, the sky is white, the sun is white, the moon is upside down. How can you not see? I don't know. I think that they must be getting... I really do think that people get the downloads, basically. I really am starting to think that at least some of it is explained by that. Lone showed inland rivers everywhere. Yeah, look at Canada. All the rivers are expanding. The lakes are hooking up. Yeah, there's like a sheet of, and it's real high clouds much higher than we ever had before. The cirrus clouds, I guess cirrus clouds were not that high before, but now they're like this white sheet. It looks like the sky is white and then there's more clouds below. They never had that before. All right. Well, I have not gotten far in this sheet. I've got 2 pages, and I've only covered Cyclops goat. All right. Oh, and one other. I covered that Palin thing. All right. I don't know. Does anybody remember me saying that Palin was right? You can see Russia from Alaska. Do you remember that video? I wonder. Because I'm sure I made that. I put that in one video. All right, let's go through that. Okay, so there's Washington. Yes, I agree. It looks weird. All right, this one is from Linda Langley. She's got a whole bunch of them, actually. This is one of hers. She just made a big paragraph in the comments, and there's a bunch of them. And it's about insects. How many eyes do they have? Now, I do remember flies having compound eyes. And lo and behold, look, they look like they have compound eyes. Okay, and it was flies that had the compound eyes. And that was a big deal that flies were really cool because they had compound eyes. You could see all the... I don't think they had quite this many divisions before, but they had them, okay. Well, but they still only had 2 eyes for me. 2 big eyes, but now they have 5 eyes. They have 2 big ones and 3 little ones over in here. Flies have 3 simple eyes in between the compound eyes called ocelli. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Ocelli or ocelli. Ocelli act like a compass to let the fly know which way is up. They work by keeping track of sunlight, helping the fly move towards it. You need 3 eyes just to keep track of sunlight and know which way's up. That sounds like, I think that's going to evolve. And there's no way you need 3 eyes just to know where the sun is. It's not that complicated. But apparently a lot of insects have these 3 eyes now with this ocelli. And a whole crap load of insects have compound eyes now. It was just flies when I first heard about it, but it's apparently been sneaking around because all kinds of stuff has compound eyes now, including honeybees. Honeybees have compound eyes. Not sure when that happened. They don't look like they have compound eyes, but they do. I actually don't remember them having blue colored. Oh no, this is a dragonfly eye. I'll cover the honeybees in a bit. All right. So compound eyes, this is the most common type. Some adults insects have compound eyes, are horseflies and honeybees. So I got on the honeybees here. So all these things have compound eyes. Ocelli, ocellus means simple eye. Ocelli is the plural of ocellus. Wasps, for instance, have 3, and they're arranged in a triangle between their 2 compound eyes. So wasps and bees have the ocelli. And so do the dragonflies. So it looks like a whole bunch of critters have this 3 extra eyes after their 2. All these insects have them. Looks like it's quite common. So I read that and I'm like, honeybees? So I look into honeybees. I find out something else about honeybees. I was just looking into honeybees not long ago because I noticed changes in the abdomen. Their eyes, actually, the long eyes, they're looking like rectangles now. They look suspicious to me, actually. I'm just looking at that. Let me look at that really quick. Close up. Their eyes are looking, yeah. I don't remember their eyes being so long like that. They look kind of weirdly angry or something. Their eyes are a different shape to me. They're very, very long now. I don't remember them being that big. I don't remember them being that long. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to check on that because I was just looking at it right now and I just realized that they don't look how I remember. Okay. So here's another thing. Honeybees now have hairy eyeballs. A short hair grows in the intersections of the compound lenses of the eye. So for each compound section of eye, there's a hair. These hairs are believed to detect wind direction and may be used by the bees to stay on course in windy conditions. So bees have hairy eyeballs now. They have hair growing out of their eyeballs. Yeah, okay. Here's another part. They have pollen baskets on their back legs. It used to be that they just stick pollen on their back legs, but now they have little sacs made of long, stiff hairs that curve around a flat section of the bee's rear legs. The bee stuffs pollen grains into these baskets using the stiff hairs on the back of her other legs to scrape the pollen into them and pack them full. The baskets are transparent, so the brightly colored pollen can be easily seen. All right, so they have baskets on their legs now that are transparent. And no, that was not how it used to be. They just would stick it onto their legs. Now they have baskets. Anyway, so those are a couple new changes in the bees. The hairy eyeballs are especially ridiculous. Anyways, so there's my honeybee rant. Interesting. Looks like this one's sticking some on here too. I wonder if that's going to be a thing on the abdomen. All right. Bees aren't cute. They're getting less cute. They look kind of creepy now with those eyes. It's amazing how long, angry-looking eyes can make the whole thing look. And speaking of angry bees, I also think the venom of the bees has gotten a lot worse because I get stung every couple years. We have a lot of bees locally. We have a lot of bushes that get bees on them. One day I grabbed a hose. There was a bee. I got stung. So actually, I got stung on Saturday. And I got stung on the leg. I really didn't think a lot of it because I've been stung lots of times through my life. This stung. I scraped it out immediately. I know how to remove them properly. Right after it stung, I scraped it out. So the stinger wasn't in there long. It was on my leg, so it's just kind of a fatty region. I treated it with my painkiller. I thought it was fine. The next day, it was so red. I mean, there was a region on I swear I thought I got like some kind of cellulitis disease or something. I mean, it was screaming red. This huge region was swollen like that much high. It itched like crazy. Oh my God. I look up online. I know it never said that itchiness was the common side effect, but it is now. Itchiness is a common side effect of bee stings. And also, another person I know got stung last year, and his whole face swelled up. And he has been stung many times also, and he never had a problem until last year. So, it was just normal that you would just get a slight swelling for a few hours. When I was a kid, unless you had a special allergy to bees, it would just be a slight swelling for a few hours. That was it. Now, it's definitely more than that. So, bees are packing more punch. That's all I have to say. And it was just a honeybee that got me. I know the hive. I was trying to prune some bushes to make the fire department happy, and the bees weren't. My family believes the Tesla car on its way to Mars. Yeah, you know what? I can't help you because I can't help myself. I don't know how to get people to see. Even that, no matter how ridiculous it is, I don't know how to break people out of their little thing. Yeah, did I talk? I think I talked about the sun being green already. I think that was like 2 months ago or something. They say the sun was green. I've been looking at that because we were a yellow dwarf, and then for a while they said we were a white dwarf. Then we were back to being a yellow dwarf. What they say as far as our sun is, soul. They keep that flip flops a lot too. What the sun is supposed to be. Seems like it's filling a lot of end times. Even Wormwood has been completed now. The third trumpet in Revelations. Look up the meaning of Chernobyl, the third angel monument there. I'll check more into it, but yeah, There was another one where they said fresh water at the Dead Sea, and we got that one. And there was the thing about they had to slaughter the red heifer, and we didn't have red heifers before, but we have them now. This timeline has red heifers. So they used to always say, I swear something went on my head. They used to always say that we could not slaughter a red heifer because we didn't have any. But now we have a species that is red hares, and the only rule is that every single hair has to be red. So the argument is we don't really have a red heifer because every single hair is not red. But we could breed one probably easily by just getting an extra red one. But anyway, so there's a whole bunch of stuff in the Bible that are, it's coming to pass. Also, in the Bible, it says the sun will shine 7 times brighter, like 7 days of light in one day, and the moon will shine as the sun. And we're already getting images now of moons that look like suns. It's getting there. So, I mean, the moon is definitely way brighter. So that's another one. Also, it says in the Bible that, I can't remember the exact terminology, but it was something about fresh rivers springing from every hill. And there are a whole ton more fresh water sources now, rivers and all that kind of stuff. So I hate looking at those bugs. All right, I'll go on to the next one. This one is fairly innocuous. All right, let me just finish reading and then I'll talk about PayPal. And Adela's in. Welcome, T-Box. Scandinavia was a country. It's not a country now? Scandinavia is not a country? Scandinavia. Oh, it's just a region? Yeah, that was a country. You're right. You're right. That was a country. Scandinavia was a country. Oh, yeah, you're good find. I'm going to write that one down so I put it on there. Scandinavia was a country. Come on, pen. Scandinavia. Yeah, no. All right, what is it now then? Oh, weird. Scandinavia. Nordic region. Yeah, it was in Northern Europe. Dang. By the Baltic Sea. That whole area is really weird now. Huh. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Oh, yeah, Chernobyl means wormwood. Prelim. So 2 people besides myself remember Scandinavia as a country. I barely see any flies now, which is kind of nice, but it figures bad for the environment. I think that the Emmys got it covered. I'm not going to worry about that. There's so many new animals now and stuff. Somehow they're all getting food. Only virgins now with the rapture in the Bible. What are you saying, that you only go the rapture if you're a virgin? That's weird. I'll have to check into that. There's a little, speaking of bugs. Now a lot of scholars are saying the rapture is for the wicked and the godless. Huh. So everything is turned around. The rapture of the wicked. I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a splitting. Call it what you will. Maybe the wicked think it's a rapture for them, and then the non-wicked will think they got their own rapture. Maybe everybody will use the same word. I don't know. All right, it's going to take too much reading to figure that about. Anyway, I'm sure that during the rapture, things will happen to everybody. The word rapture appears nowhere in the Bible. However, the concept of a catching up is found numerous times. You'll be surprised to find that it usually refers to a violent snatching away for the purposes of judgment, not a gathering of believers. Huh. This is an eye-opener, readily demonstrating the scriptural proposition that the unbelievers will be taken out before the believers. This is totally opposite from dispensationalism, which opposition further authenticates the ring of truth of the message to all who have ears to hear. Oh, and of course that's not in the Bible anymore. Eyes to see and ears to hear. I'm going to have to think on that some more. That's interesting. All right. I'm just wondering, so there's a splitting, and each side thinks the other side's getting removed. So I don't know. So now they're saying the bad ones will get split out. So if we see one split out, we assume they're bad, but maybe the bad ones think the good ones get split out, and they get split out and they think they're good. Each side will think they're the good side. I'm just wondering if it's like that. I don't know. I'm kind of flailing here, but I'm just wondering if each side will think they're the good side. That's just really, but again, it fits with the opposite land. Everything is opposite. Everything is opposite. And the rapture wasn't in the Bible. Now it is. Scandinavia was a small country. Yeah, I agree with you. It was a small country. That flips me out. It's not a country. You're right, though. It was North Europe. It was kind of like a long country, long and kind of like flat. Dang it. The whole of Europe is such a mess now, especially North Europe. Oh, it's totally alien. Kazakhstan like that, no freaking way. Yeah, I remember the pollen just sticking to their feet and legs. Yes, that was the bees. They didn't have baskets. Europe is a mess. Yep. Okay. Where were we? PayPal. All right, let's go back to PayPal. This one's probably not as exciting as the rapture, but Logopedia. All right, I've said this before. Things a lot of logos are tipping. I deal with PayPal every freaking day. PayPal is tipping over. This is very recent. It has not been, but according to this, since its inception in 1999, the P and the L, it was tipping. I'm pretty sure that's the direction you see. But in my timeline, it was up and down. It's tipping now. So I call slight change on PayPal. It's tipping. It was not tipping. That is wrong. So PayPal. All right. You know, surprisingly, I don't think that I got inundated with Crowzilla. Usually when one of these goes viral, all right. I don't know if you guys saw this creepy crow. All right. This crow was standing like this. And, I immediately just thought it lost its legs or something. These are the wings coming down. It looks absolutely absurd. In the video, it doesn't really move, but you could see the head moving a little bit. So it's not much of a video. I'm not going to play the whole video because I don't want to get a copyright strike. Plus, it won't add anything to the story that much. But so this bird's just kind of hanging out like this. I just assumed maybe it had damaged feet or something. But then an expert was on here saying, oh, yeah, birds, they're just airing out their wings and they're hot. And this is common, fairly common. And they're claiming the feet are like kind of up around the side here. And so you can't see them from this angle. I mean, people, have you ever seen a bird do this before? I mean, has anybody ever seen this? I probably should have made this the thumbnail now that I think about it, because this is ridiculous. I have never once ever seen a bird. Why would everybody be flipping out if this was fairly common? I mean, this is ridiculous. So, we have so many crows around here, and it's hot all summer, and never a single time did I ever see this. Let's see if there's that experts on this one. $5 from GoSee333. Thank you. Appreciate it. Kylie Swift, whose Twitter bio says that she has a PhD in crow death behaviors. How do you get a PhD in crow death behaviors? I don't know. Explains that this is a very normal thing to do for birds. She also says the crow is a large-billed crow, which makes the crow look odd and a little out of proportion. So apparently we have large-billed crows. All right, so this is normal. Let's see what else she's got to say. Second, the bird is not missing its legs and propping itself up with its wings. That would be physically impossible. Also, not that it's relevant to the answer, but a crow without legs couldn't fly because it couldn't generate any lift. So legless crow is a dead crow. What it's actually doing is sunning itself. When birds sun, they drop their wings and cock their tails at the right angle. They could obscure the legs and tail, making it look like they're missing. All right, so whatever. Apparently, this is normal behavior. I have absolutely freaking never, ever seen a bird with its wings down like that. sunning itself or no, in a tree or no. If you saw that, I don't think you would forget. There is no freaking way that this crow, I mean, there's no freaking way that crows do that. I'm sorry, not in my timeline. I guess we'll probably start seeing it now, but I've never seen any bird drop its wings like that, ever. Looks totally insane. And that's why everybody's flipping out, because nobody's ever seen it. There's not one person on any of the comments that I could see that said, "Oh yeah, I've seen that before." And if you know Reddit, that alone is a small miracle, because everybody knows everything on Reddit. It's the land where everybody goes and says it's normal. But not one person on there that I saw said, "Oh, I've seen a crow do that." Even, she's saying, even injured ones never did that. No freaking way. So apparently they sun themselves, they do that. That's the story about this woman with a PhD in crow death behaviors. I mean, what? She could just say she was, a bird expert or something, but no, she's got a PhD in crow death behaviors. Oh. And her last name is Swift, like a bird. I don't know. Lately I've gotten this thing where maybe fake people have ironic names, so now I've just started looking at the names of everybody, that anything that sounds ridiculous, I'm looking at the names of the people to just see if they sound like the subject. That's my latest thing. And a lot of them do. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into him, but just whenever you hear something ridiculous about somebody out on the internet, see what their whole name is. Just see, just see what you think. I'm not trying to push any theory. I'm just saying, just think about it. See, the chicken spread wings over chicks, but I never see it stand on wings. Yeah. No, they spread them out like this. They're trying to, either injured or trying to act injured. They're out, but they're not like, they're not like throwing gang signs when when they're doing it. They don't look like they're trying to show off their muzzles. Magpies behaving very strange. Didn't have so much blue. Yeah, definitely. A lot of the animals are looking prettier, or just creepier, or more something. Creepier, uglier, prettier. Whatever it is, less bland is all I could really say. Some are more beautiful, some are more horrible. And the behaviors, too. Some of them are just hideous. Oh, Adam Ant is going to talk about the human horses. That is on my list. Yes, it is on my list. I've had that on before, but it's gotten more extreme. I have a PhD in nonverbal communication of paraplegic parakeets. I know. And your name is, so come up with a good name that sounds like birds. Horse people. Yeah, that's gone viral. There's something extra funny about that too. Okay. All right, I got that. Got that. All right. Somebody already mentioned this. And then Lunar Skyclad commenter also mentioned this on the comments. Somebody has mentioned it on the live stream. I also saw it. It is super viral. All right, so I swear something touched me. I'm all jumpy today. I don't know, maybe too many bugs. I think it was just a hair. All right. There's a million different articles on this. I could not find very many images of the actual super nests, but so the story is the last time something like this happened was 2006. Baloney, it never happened before. Most years, Alabama sees only one or two wasp super nests, giant wasp fortresses that sometimes even professional pest controllers won't touch. In 2006, things were different. So the story then is basically if it's not cold enough, then these super wasps, the wasps don't die back, and then they just keep growing and growing, and then they make the super nest. Now, I am not surprised that this is a big story because we've seen about 5 or 6 viral images of giant like beehives and wasp nests. So like this whole car here now is covered with these super wasp nests. There's another one. So 2019 is going to be another super wasp nest season since it wasn't cold enough supposedly. I call baloney. This is all new. There was no 2006 super nests. But anyways, yeah. Good call. Everybody's fingered that one right away. All right, now we're getting to the horse ones. All right, this one, user Narwhal Dundee found this one on Redcon. That's the first person I saw that linked it. All right, so basically, I guess there's these whole competitions. I've covered this a bit before, but there's these competitions where people run like horses. They gallop, they trot, they canter, just like a horse. But it's gotten. I played a little video of it before, but it was just this little kid doing it, and it was more cute. But now it's getting more like kind of like hard looking. So this girl demonstrates all the different ones. But what's interesting is she actually jumps over. Let me see if I can find that one. She jumps over a whole. I think it was in here. She jumps over a whole picnic table, and then she lands on her front legs, which are her arms. And I think that you would just kind of like lose your whole freaking shoulder.
So I guess I got your name now. Oh, even if it takes all night.
I mean those arms. That would be the word arms. Where's the play button, guys? Play. No, I don't think so. I think that the new arms. Now, last time I showed this, the arms had not, the shoulders change had not happened. I did a video on that a couple months ago. The last time I showed these people trotting like horses, it was more of a fun thing. And the shoulders hadn't changed as much. I think shoulders must be a lot stronger now. That's all I have to say, jumping over this stuff. Now, somewhere in here, pretty sure it linked, here, a 2016 study examined the difference between bipedal and quadrupedal running and found galloping humans were faster by a fraction of a second. If developed properly, athletes could theoretically smash records on all fours by the 2048 Olympics. So I read that, and it made it sound like galloping humans were already faster. But then when I clicked on it, click, 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 click. It's more of a theoretical study. by Ryuta Kinugasa and Yoshiyuki Usami. I wonder what those names mean in Japanese, actually. Because in Japan, all the characters have kind of meanings, and so your name has a kind of a meaning. Because I was just talking about what strange, interesting people online. Like, okay, here's another one. Usain Bolt. His name is Bolt, and he's like a speed runner. You know what I mean? It's just stuff like that. It's just getting kind of weird. You go to the doctor, and like my friend's vet, his name is Dr. Bone. Okay, so first bone sounds like something doctors do, and then he's a dog vet, and dogs love bones. It's just stuff like that. I don't know. It's like the world is laughing at me or something. Anyways, there's just so many of these. Once you start looking, it's like you can't stop if you start. Maybe I shouldn't even tell you to do it. Okay, so what they're doing here is they plotted like how fast the quadrupedal sprint times are, and then they compared like how fast they're improving, because it's kind of a newly popular sport apparently, and the times are improving so quickly, and then they're looking at the improvement times for like what do you call it now, bipedal running, 2 feet. And they're saying that the quadrupedal running is improving so rapidly that they predict that it will surpass, the speed of the quadrupedal running will surpass the bipedal running. Now, this is all just theoretical, and obviously there's a million variables that could get in the way, but this is just weird. There's this whole big freaking bunch of articles on it. And it's all scientific sounding. A quadruped runner, or monkey runner, broke the Guinness World Record for the 100-meter on November 12. The record time was 15.7 seconds, so it sounds pretty fast. So, then they talk about the actual physical traits that would make it faster. Galloping humans were filmed using high-speed camera. Galloping cheetahs were analyzed from available free movies of cheetah running. They were looking at the galloping strides. Stride-based gait analysis generally considers the contact of the trailing hindfoot as the starting point of the stride cycle. Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. It's very scientific sounding, but you can go through it. But basically, they're trying to argue that if they analyze the stride and the movement of the human body, there's good argument for how much distance each stride would be and how long it would take and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying they think it would be faster than bipedal running. That's all I've got to say. I don't know. This is a heck of a science-y article to suddenly show up here, and they have a lot of science behind it. It just sounds ridiculous. I don't know what to say. Are we all gonna be running like freaking monkeys? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'll tell you something, and I've said this before. When I first saw this bipedal running thing, it is, and the other thing I've been seeing, and I have played this also, was this weird fetish thing where a person was pretending to be a dog and walking on a leash and moving bipedally. And it looked pretty easy in the video. And one thing I remember is that not being easy. And so I tried it, minus the fetish part, obviously. And it is a lot easier now than it used to be to walk like that. A lot easier. And then there's that weird family that walks on all fours. Yeah, forearms would have broken before. I think the shoulder up in here would just be toast if you had pulled that crap. And that's not like... that woman is not some little 80-pound waif that would maybe be easier on the shoulders either. I don't know what to say. I really don't. What's up with ribs growing back? I actually did a video on that. It was one of my first videos. I looked into it yesterday. It's kind of circulated back around. It's still the same as I remember it. Over a year ago was that if the outer sheath of the rib is intact, the whole rib will grow back. Now, one different thing I saw this time was they're saying it's 2 to 3 months and it grows back. Boom. 2 to 3 months. It's a lot more of a sure thing now about it growing back, and they have an exact time frame. So basically, they yank out your rib, but they leave the sheath. Your rib grows right back. Now, that was not the case before in my old timeline, but it has been the case for a while. Like I said, I did a video on it a while back. It looks like somebody else, I don't know if somebody else did a video on it or what, because suddenly it's making the rounds again. I saw it on Retconned. But yeah, the outer sheath. And now, so if the rib sheath can grow back, then why not all the rest of the bones? I think you're going to see that they're all going to. I mean, they could already knit together, right? Why not just grow? You see all this weird extra bone growth due to stress and all that. Did not have all that before. Is there meaning running human horses demonic? I don't know if you could really say that. I mean, do we even really understand what demonic is? I mean, I would say demonic is, being mean or cruel, lying, violence, hurting others, doing nasty things to people, torturing. Those things I would say, hatred, lies, twisting things around. I would say those things are what you would call demonic. Beyond that, I don't know. I mean, like, my cat, I love him, and he's got 4 legs, and he's quadrupedal. I don't think he's demonic. So, I mean, I think 4 legs, running on 4 legs is demonic. I don't necessarily assume that. I would say it's creepy. I don't know where things are going. I don't, but I don't know if I'd say it's demonic. I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe. It's not something I could say I know, that I feel strongly. I see back surgery in her future. In the old timeline, yeah, but where we're going, I wouldn't assume that. I mean, the body is constantly changing. That would be, that's an assumption you make if from the old timeline, but I wouldn't make that assumption anymore. It must have been like 15 years ago. I probably tore my rotator cuff. I mean, every symptom was there. My shoulder hurt for years and years every time I tried to lift something or pull in a certain way. But it wasn't bad enough to deserve surgery. It was just certain movements. It's gone now. There's no sign of it. I kind of assumed it was all the pickleball exercise, but I'm now, there's been so many shoulder changes. I don't know. I apparently don't have a torn rotator cuff anymore. Those things aren't supposed to heal, It was there for 15 years. I don't know. So, damage from the old timeline is not necessarily damage in the new timeline, and it really may not be damage in the future timeline. You can't assume anymore. Anyone gain a clavicle bone? You talk about that thing off the back where it, yeah, I did a video on that where the whole clavicle grew kind of wings and it goes back around. Yeah. That whole thing, yeah. Anyway, humans are stronger, and I think they can hack it now. Yeah, it's not as creepy as humans looking backwards. That one, there's more and more videos of the reverse head children and stuff. Oh, there's so many of them now. Anybody on social media has probably seen that by now. What if someone is being raised like that? Yeah, I have not heard of that yet. Now I did have on that family. There's supposed to be some family that they have kind of a vestibular disorder and they can't stand up and they walk like that. But they don't think they're horses or anything. They just have trouble standing up. I agree. The names seem to have an association with some characteristic about the person having the name. It's really weird. I kept seeing it like Anthony Weiner showed his Weiner, the political one in the USA. I kept seeing it and I'm just like, nah, that's just coincidence. Nah, that's just coincidence. But then I was watching another show and they're like, it's not coincidence. I'm like, there's just so many of them now. I don't know. There's just so many of them. It just seems like there's too many to be coincidence. But you guys check for yourself. I've only just now started really looking at that, so I want to like look at it a little longer. But it just seems like whenever there's certain characteristics about famous people and people who get in the news, and if somebody does something kind of wacky or really standoutish that hits the news, it seems like at least half the time their name has something to do with what they supposedly did, like their what made them famous. So like Usain Bolt runs and his name is Bolt, just stuff like that, just fairly obvious. So that woman studies birds and her last name is Swift, which is a kind of bird, and also that birds are swift. Just things like that. Her name is not Fejalkajal or some other weird. Most names in America don't mean anything, or they mean like plumber or something. Some old job. It it just wouldn't be a bird name normally. I'm starting to think they're NPCs in this timeline. Clerks saying the same thing, acting the same every day. Yeah, see, I mean, are these people real with these funny, weird names? I had a doctor called Butcher, wasn't at ease. Yeah, yeah, yep. But, maybe that's all doctors in this timeline because, I mean, I don't mean to be insulting to them. It's just that the state of medical science, in my opinion, is very primitive. Even no matter how hard they try, we just don't have that much knowledge. There's a Bigfoot researcher named Dr. Ketchum called Dr. Ketchum. Yeah, see, there you go. That is who parent. I mean, and even if it turns out that his DNA samples are baloney, whatever, that name. I mean, come on. Choosing your occupation by your name, I don't know. Thank goodness no horns and elf ears here yet. Oh, I don't know. Ears to me are getting more elfy. I hate to say it, but my ears are a lot more pointy than they used to be. That is an Emmy I've been talking about for a while. They're definitely more pointy. I mean, they're not elf ears, but they're more pointy. All right. Where are we here? Super NES. That's that one. All right. This one is from Chris Oliver Times, a user on Retconned. And I got the wrong mouse in my hand. Let me ask you guys, when's the last time you hit your funny bone? You know when you hit your elbow, bam, and then you're like, ah. When's the last time you hit that funny bone? Yeah, syndrome or something. Some people are born with elf ears. I covered that last week. Yeah, there is a syndrome, but just in general, ears are more elfy. I've been kind of harping on this one. There was some time ago, I was talking about a character in Star Wars, and her ears were so pointy, and I knew it was a Star Wars advertisement, but I had not seen the movie yet, and I assumed that she was an alien with elf ears because her ears were so pointy. And I looked her up because I kept looking at it, and I looked up that character, and that woman has those ears. I mean, weren't totally pointy, but they looked more elf than human to me. I mean, and that's her natural ears, Mrs. Elf ears, and that's kind of what got me on it, because I definitely noticed mine were more pointy. I saw hers were even more pointy than mine. No funny bone. Yes. If I do, it doesn't hurt anymore. Oh, so T-Box banged his. It's been a long time since I banged him. A long time since I banged my funny bone. A really long time. Like 6 or 7. I used to bang it a couple times a year. It was easy. So apparently you can still bang it, but it's really protected now. Like the location up in the elbow. And I really was not real familiar with the previous location, but when he said that, I did realize it's been a really long time since I banged it. So basically, he's saying that the location of that ulnar nerve is really protected inside the elbow now. Very hard to bang it. Used to be all the time, boom, it didn't take much. It was just way out there, so just any little hit and bam, ah. But you can't really do it anymore, even if you try. I don't even know exactly what you'd have to do to whack it now, because doing this, nothing happens, nothing. So yeah, it's very hard to whack your funny bone now. We turn it into Spock. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not the ugliest look in the world to have the pointier ears, but I'm happy with the way they are now. I don't need to get too crazy here. All right. Oh, yeah, you were making that joke that there's no elf ears and no horns, but I covered the horns last week. The horns are in the back of your head now. They're growing back here. If you saw that video, supposedly, just do a Google on growing horns from cell phone use. They're blaming it on cell phones. But yeah, people are growing horns back behind there. All right, so that was Chris Oliver. All right, now we're getting more from Linda Langley. One of hers I've already covered. This one, yes, this one. I have never seen this before. Now, hamsters always had those cheek pouches, and they would put all the seeds in their mouth would be all cute with it'd be all chibi, with giant poochy pouches, and it was cute. But that was like a rodent thing, all right. But now a whole crap load of monkeys have those, and in spades too. All right, so check out these monkey pouches. With full cheek pouches. Look at those. They look like they've got man parts on his chin. It's ridiculous. So these are cheek pouches. They can stuff a bunch of food in them. A whole bunch of different monkeys have these. Here's another one. This one just looks like a giant freaking tumor. Rhesus macaque with food and cheeks. They did not have Rhesus macaques did not have cheek pouches. I'm sorry, no. Look at the cheek pouches on that thing. That looks ridiculous. Again, it looks like they have man parts. It's either tumors or man parts. I'm sorry, but no, that is just wrong. What the heck is this? It looks like he's got throat cancer. I have never seen this before. This one is a little bit cute, at least. These things are no joke. Now, that one I could see maybe not noticing because it looks all fluffy and cute, but some of these are totally insane. We've already seen that one. Never seen this before. Baboon, Chakma baboon. I've never there's cheek pouches there. See, it looks like tumors or something. It's creepy. Look at that. That's crazy. So I think these funny hairs and stuff are going to be hiding some of these cheek pouch action. Ooh, you know, I have not seen this species. Lion-tailed macaques have cheek pouches that can store as much food as their stomach. I have never seen this species either. I've been looking at the species intermittently, but it's been a little while since I looked. Lion-tailed macaques. If I saw that one before, then its mane was not that big. Lion-tailed macaques. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. If I did, it was definitely not that extreme. Oh, let's see. Now these ones have changed some. I've had those on before, but the cheeks weren't so. Look at that. That's changed. What the heck is that thing? Monkeys have made a leap. These guys have changed some with this cheeks business. Was not like that before. Huh. Very interesting. Yeah, these guys have had some new and the nose is extra weird. Looks like there's more species of it too. All right, so yeah, the cheek pouches. What the heck? I saw those before, but not with this big long. There's a bunch of new monkeys now since last time I looked. A bunch. Wow. Okay. So anyway, this cheek pouches thing is a thing now. Huh. Oh, look at those. Oh, it's got a big yellow beard now. They had the colorful butts, but now they've got this yellow beard. That's new. They didn't have that yellow beard last I checked. They've just added that on. You just can't make this stuff up, I swear. You just can't. Okay, so anyway, cheek pouches, good find, Linda Langley. If we get cheek pouches, I give up. Yeah, those are ugly. I don't want those things. Hamsters were cute with the cheek pouches, but those things that I'm seeing here on these monkeys are most of them are not cute. No cheek pouches. Children getting horns. Well, they say, they're blaming it on cell phone use, but they're saying a certain percentage of population always had those horns back there in the back of the head. No, they didn't. They did not. I was watching that skull change, and it was there was no horns back there. Monkeys with hamster cheeks. Yep. Never seen it before, would remember. Everything's growing, these weird face appendages. I think I've covered some in the past. Never seen the lion-tailed monkey. Yeah, that one's a new one for me. And some of these others have grown new parts. Okay, so... Okay, the 5 eyes of the flies came from Linda Langley. Oh, and the funny bone bangs. No, that came from Chris Oliver. She got monkey cheeks, flies, 5 eyes, and this one. Now, I've covered this before, but it's gotten more extreme. And Linda Langley also noticed this. The elephant hair on the head thing has gotten more ridiculous. Apparently, they have to trim the hair now because they're so long. So here's an elephant with the hair. They've trimmed it. They cut it across there so it won't get in her eyes, and they paint her up. So some of these elephants are really getting some hair now. That's all I have to say. The awkward moment when an elephant has better hairstyle than you. So the hair thing, elephants with hair. I have yet to see it addressed why some have a whole crap load of hair and some don't. Look at how fuzzy that thing is. So there's these things called temple elephants. They're keeping them in the temples. I actually never heard that term before, temple elephant. But it's a thing now. I can't swear that's an ME, but it's suspicious. All right, I keep running into this, so I just have to say it. These melting face ones, I keep seeing them. This dude with his there was nothing like that extreme before in my old timeline. I've seen a bunch of these. The ridiculous sized hands and the ridiculous sized feet too. At first there was just one woman with giant hands. Now there's kids. There's all these creatures with the giant parts. You can't even type in something else and you'll see it. You can't avoid it. So there's another one with the hair. Combs the hair of Lakshmi, the elephant of Retai. Actually, one more thing. What was that thing right there? All right, so there we go. Elephant hair. All right, I'm half done. Not making very good progress. There are now... So scorpions, some of them can squirt their venom now. They used to just poke you with their venom. But now some of them can shoot that stuff. Always fun. Oops. Here it is. Damn it. All right, let's try to do it again without the advertising. All right, so he shot that all over through there. Venom spraying behavior in Parabuthus transvolicus scorpions. All right, so basically, at least some of them are squirting their venom now. Oh, yay. That one was also found by Linda Langley. And this last one, no, wait, she's got a couple more. Linda got a lot of interesting ones, and they're kind of the area that I know more about. So it's easier for me to chime in on these, because sometimes we have some people who are really historians, and they're like, this history changed and this history changed. I'm just not that much of a historian, but she has a lot of animal and nature ones, and that's more my area. All right, so... you heard of getting you get your pancake syrup, but I bet it's not from walnut trees. Apparently, you can get syrup from a whole crap load of trees now. You could get them from walnut trees. It's supposed to be even sweeter than the maple. Black walnut, you can get them from some of the maples. You can get them from hickory, birch, and box elder. You know, I can't 110% swear this is an ME, but I really think it is. I mean, I've totally studied birch. I've studied maples. Those are two trees I really like, and never once anywhere did anyone ever say. And I've even studied how to get the syrup from maples, and never anywhere did they ever mention you could get syrup from all these other trees. And I mean, the survival programs never covered this. I mean, this is something that if you were out in the wild, there's birch trees all over the place. If you count box elder, birch, hickory, and some of the maples and walnut trees, that's a lot of different trees you could get syrup from. I mean, that's a survivalist skill that you would want to know. Get that. Sugars and carbohydrates are not that easy to find if you're not in the tropics too. I'm going to say that is almost for sure an ME. Tapping walnut trees. So you can tap all these different trees now for syrup. So if you have any of those, or if you have any interest in, you don't have to go up to Canada and get the good maples anymore. There's all kinds of different trees that do it now. Past the walnut syrup. I was reading somewhere where they were saying it was even more sweet than maple. So actually, it's pretty weird that you can get syrup from maples too. So now, I don't know. All right. So that one was also from Linda Langley. Good find. Okay. Now, I think I covered these a bit, but they're way more extreme than last few weeks ago when I was looking at these. And this is also from Linda Langley. Good find. These fat-tailed goats. I may not have, I'm not sure if I put these on or not, because they weren't that weird looking when I looked at them. Dang, I know I thought about it, but basically there's this breed of goat that has this weird fat butt. But now last time I had them on, they weren't that fat. They're really fat now. Really fat. That's way more extreme than when I remembered like a little while ago. This is ridiculous. Again, it looks like man parts taking over the universe. Look at those things. So there's this whole story. I mean, look at that. I mean, come on. Tail fat behaves more like butter. It is used for frying or as an ingredient in other dishes. So there's this whole storyline now that like traveling soldiers would just cut some of this fat off the butt of the goat, and then it wouldn't kill the goat, and they could eat that. So it was like this, kind of like you could just take some of the meat and leave the goat alive or something. It sounds gross actually, but so there's this whole story about this butt fat, and I mean, come on, some of these are ridiculous. What is this? This one is so weird. This little image here is so weird. It looks like it's supposed to be real, but when you go over here, they just talk about Genghis Khan and sheeps. They don't say anything about this giant butt fat thing. And this one, this image has gone a lot bigger than when I saw it a couple weeks ago. A lot bigger. I mean, the butt part. I mean, what is this? I was totally looking into this, and I did not see like 90% of these images. There was nothing like that when I was looking up that. So this one is like hot off the presses. This is totally in progress with these freaking things. It's totally. What the heck is that? What is that with that tail? Fatty, they're known for their fatty tails and height. That looks like a whole nother freaking leg coming off of that thing. Ugh. Anyways, so that's me flipping out. Because this one, I just looked at that. The actual man parts on a lot of these animals are getting ridiculously huge, too. They were never like that. I'm sorry. You can't even tell the boys from the girls. I don't know if that's supposed to be udders or man parts. You can't hardly tell anymore. It used to be the udders were way up more on the stomach region, and then the man parts were smaller, so it was obvious. But it's very hard to tell if you're not kind of well versed. This is another thing that really has been growing on these ruminants, the hoofed creatures, is this funny nodule up in the chest region. Now she's got these fatty blobs on his butt, and he's got that. The coloration is really weird. So yeah, really weird. There's another one. What is up with that? So they're saying the fat has like a special quality to it. I mean, what is that? It's the tail, I guess. That's craziness. That's that same. I'm waiting for this image to get explained. I noticed that the ME like stuff just shows up and it's just kind of floating there without explanation, and then you see more and more of it. So anyway, this thing, no, this is not right. I think there was just some like weird little genetic thing that they were talking about, and that's how I got on this fat-tailed ghost, but it was not nearly as big of a butt as these. All right, anyway, I'm done flipping out over that. Very unhealthy for these animals. I don't know. I don't know about this timeline. What's healthy is not healthy when the whole DNA is different. I don't know. Psh. Walnut syrup, yeah. We're having to relearn everything from scratch. Yeah, that was one thing I really had to let go of early on was I knew a lot of stuff in the old timeline, and most of that is just totally wrong now. And here's the thing. You learn it again, and it changes again. You have to I got this whole trail of first it was this, then it was this. I got to learn it like 5 times. I mean, is this ever going to end? Is it ever going to settle down and I'll know what the answer is? Because I have a number of times, especially on Reddit, type stuff, and only to realize that that's not true anymore. And some of it was true like 2 months ago. I gotta like check everything. I mean, how many times am I gonna have to learn this stuff? There was some, oh my God, the history of the space program, and I just didn't even want to watch it because it's all different, and I don't want to hear it. It's gonna change again. I just want to remember the old way, and I don't want to get it muddled with the new way. It's like when you want to tell someone about an ME and you have to look it up to see if it's still the same. Yeah, you have to literally look it up. I mean, it could be true 3 days ago, and now it's not true. Can people eat datura seeds? Only if you want to have a wild ride. Last I checked, anyway. Trees bleed and gush water, and they have syrup. Yep. A lot more food sources now. A lot more food sources. Water and food. They're getting more and more. All right, this is just bugging me. I have to click on this. What is that thing? Look, there's the head. And I guess that's the tail. Ugh, crazy. All right. It should be common knowledge that all those trees had syrup. Yep. Datura trees are so beautiful and smell amazing. Yep, they do. They're beautiful. Golden lancehead snake. Hemotoxic, melts human flesh. Golden lancehead snake. Yeah, pretty. Is that supposed to be the most venomous now? Fear snake or Indian taipan? Indian taipan. That is not what I remember being the most toxic. Fierce snake. Yeah, hopefully eventually it'll get to a timeline where snakes don't like to bite humans. So they can be as vicious as they want as long as they don't bite you. It's just like dogs. I mean, dogs could kill people, but most of the time they're just licking your hand. No spelling bees anymore either. Yeah, I was never that good at spelling, but Kim Kardashian goats. I was really thinking about that. The whole thing with, she kind of was the start of it. Like, big butts are in now. Except for that one song, that one rap song. But I really start to look at what's going viral, and who and what is going viral, and what is the main topic? What is the main attractor? For her, it's her butt. And now we've got butt implants and all this stuff. Big butts are in. We're seeing it in the animals. How it seems to work in these timelines. I wonder if it was always that way. I was not paying attention before because it sounds ridiculous, but big bottom butt. Goats, yeah. I expect that we'll see more animals that go that way. I don't think it's just going to be one. Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard of tail fat, but not, it just happens to be the region around the tail. It's not like a giant whole, another animal's worth of animal hanging off the butt. Wonder if they'll have breasts too. Well, they're getting that weird thing out the front. Um, I think we're all wondering where this is headed and what it actually is. Yeah. I mean, I definitely see patterns of things, the waterways. Some of those things are good, but other things are just gross. I don't, but there's always new patterns starting too, so I don't know what's coming. I don't know. Women have big butts everywhere. Caucasian women tended to have flatter rear ends than other races. Not anymore. Actually, I thought Chinese had flat butts. My friend was Chinese, and she always used to say that, so I guess that's why. But flying fish were the only flying. Yeah, now we've got those flying squids of all things. They don't look very aerodynamic, but I guess they're like little torpedoes. Flying squids. That's just crazy. Black mamba. Yeah, I think it was black mamba was the most poisonous for me. That sounds right, black mamba. It was not that saipan fierce snake. I've heard of that. Eagles can swim. I've covered the swimming birds. Every time you think the figure out the Emmy, it changes. Yeah, it's the U's replaced with the V's. I think Mandela affected pointed out one or two of those, but it's getting kind of rabid now with the U's and the V's. The U's turning to V's. The A's turning to upside down V's. This timeline likes its V's. I don't know what that means. It probably means something. I don't know what, though. Rabbits can swim. I don't know, I don't know if they ever could before, to be honest, on that one. All right. Okay, so that one was from Linda Langley, and then one more from Linda. She's got a lot of good ones. Some of the ones she had were ones I've covered, but all of these are not ones I've covered. This one's a really interesting one, too. I have studied spleens because one of my dogs got spleen cancer. I really studied them. I did not know a ton about spleens before. I have never heard of the accessory spleen. Now, assuming it hasn't changed too much, spleens were basically a blood storage area. Extra blood is stored there. If you get a nasty wound and you lose a lot of blood, there's extra blood stored in the spleens that it can release. It's kind of like an IV bag for blood. Plus, it helps with the autoimmune function and some other stuff like that. It probably does more stuff now, but that's why you don't have to have a spleen. You can have, if there's some cancer or something, they could cut that out, and it's really not a big deal unless you've got a major injury. And most of us in this life will have the doctor that could just put more blood in there for you. So, all right. So apparently, your spleen can form an accessory spleen, like a little baby spleen. A small nodule of splenic tissue found apart from the main body of the spleen. Found in approximately 10% of the population, usually around 1 centimeter. So that's not very big. But I expect that is going to change. I think that they won't stay that small. So it can either form naturally, or it can be formed by damage to the regular spleen. So the regular spleen gets damaged. It can. The way they're talking here, it sounds like the spleen tissue can kind of just move over and clamp on somewhere else and start growing. And that is what's really, really, really weird. All right, so splenogonadal fusion can result in one or more accessory spleens along the path from the abdomen into the pelvis or scrotum. The gonads may pick up some of the tissue from the spleen. They can either produce continuous or broken line of deposited splenic tissue. So basically, the splenic tissue is spread along, and then they sprout like little grapes or something. Splenosis is a condition where foci of splenic tissue undergo autotransplantation. Okay, so they basically, what I said is that they transplant themselves in your body to another spot, most often following physical trauma or a splenectomy. Displaced tissue fragments can implant on well-vascularized surfaces in the abdominal cavity if the diaphragmatic barrier is broken. All right, so now we've got organs that just kind of spread around, basically. Oh, it's really weird. I mean, it's sort of like cancer almost, except for I guess they keep their spleen duties and they act like spleens. Failure to remove accessory spleens may result in failure of the condition to resolve. During medical imaging, accessory spleens may be confused for large lymph nodes or neoplastic growths in the tail of the pancreas. And a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, so just weird. Accessory spleens. This whole concept that pieces of spleen can break off and just grow somewhere else. That is super weird. Super, super weird. So that's the last one from Linda Langley. Good finds, all of them. Very interesting. You can have like a spleen. You're going to be a spleenectomy now. There'll be spleens all over you. Oh, the frick, the spleens. I totally studied the spleen and everything too. I totally studied that. I'm like, no, no. 10% people have it. And extra appendixes. Now, I did cover the appendixes that are all over the large intestine. But I don't know. Are there any other more appendixes besides that one? I'm afraid to look. Appendix. Extra appendix. Ugh. No, I'm not seeing much on extra appendix. For the regular appendix, they have but they, I did cover those ones on the colon. I want a double heart and a spare brain. You want to be a time lord, basically. I just need more brain. I don't know if I need an extra brain. If there's two brains, then are you going to argue with each other? Yeah, 10% have an extra spleen. And if your spleen gets damaged, it can sprout baby spleens, basically. You can have baby spleens all over your abdomen, apparently. Like, I know it's late, I'm getting tired, but I'm just thinking of those video games where the monster comes and you smack it with a sword and it breaks into, like, 5 little ones. I mean, that's what the spleens are doing, basically. Brain cells in stomach, and there's brain cells in the heart also. That was a few years ago. They're both in the stomach and the heart. I think they're saying all the organs have brain cells now, last I looked. Neurons, anyway. Yep, you didn't learn about any accessory spleen. Yeah, 10% of people have it? Yeah, right. Spleen brain, stomach brains. Where else will we have? Lungs make blood. Yeah, somebody found that on YouTube. That was a good find. I can't remember who found that one. I'll use that to explain my extra waistline. Yeah, I'm not fat. I just have extra spleens. It's a spleen farm. Yeah, I know. Can't you just, like, I don't get it. If like you have problems with your spleen, can't they just cut off a little bit out of the corner that's still healthy and then grow a new spleen then? Ugh, I don't know. Yeah, we'll get extra heart like Doctor Who. Ah. Yeah, let's look. Sometimes it pays to just look. It looks just every now and then just. Aha. Yep, somebody was born with 2 hearts, baby. No human is born with 2 hearts. Miracle of the girl with the 2 hearts. All right, so in this one they put another heart in with the sick heart. Okay. But man with 2 hearts. I'm wondering if this is just they added it in. Okay. Oh, yeah. It looks like he really was born with 2. Oh, okay. No, they added it in. They added the second heart in. All right. So far, I'm not seeing anybody born with two. It's unlikely anyone would survive with two hearts. The pumping would be too complex. I mean, if they can add in a second heart, if we can do it, then nature can do it. Aside from conjoined twins, no human is born with two hearts. Oh, Malaysian child born with two hearts. Here it is. Here it is. Dum 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 dum. Admitted to the local hospital, received an unexpected diagnosis for the ache in the right side of his chest. The area was occupied by a second but smaller functioning heart. Dum dum dum. Let's see. All right, I'm afraid to click on the YouTube. So I'm not sure how legit this is. But I bet you that we will get that. If it's not here yet. Organ farms for the elite. Well, I plan to keep all of my weird extra parts. Thank you. Well, at least most of them. I don't know. If I grow horns, I might not want those. Caducus change. I don't never knew how to pronounce that. Now wrong symbol. One snake. It should be the. Yeah, you're right. It used to be one snake. That is a good find. That it has been two for a while though. But you're right. You're right. It was one snake that went up. It's been two for a while though. The two sounds more like a Kundalini thing. Stupid pen. All right. I'm going to write that down. That is a good find. You're right. I didn't notice that. I did, but, you know, I don't know how to describe it. You see it, but then you just go, oh, no, it's always been that way. I mean, I should know better. It's like I remember kind of thinking something was weird, but I didn't pin it down. I just love how they're like, oh, no one would ever survive with two hearts. There's people with two heads, okay? If they could figure that out, they could figure out, nature could figure out two hearts. Especially after the ME. Vulcans have two hearts. Do Vulcans have two hearts? I thought that was just Time Lords. As if nature doesn't know how to synchronize two hearts. Yeah. We can smell with our tongues. Yep, I've heard that one. Somebody found that one. The questions you never thought you'd ask. Keep the horns. Yeah, well, as long as they stay up under the skull, I guess. It's going to be hard to get them out of there. The Hawaiian Islands used to represent chakras, and now there are too many. Yeah, I've been harping for a while that there's way more Hawaiian Islands, but other people are like, oh, no, it was always that way. So I don't know. That's not one of the more popular MEs, though, even among the community. Always handy to have spare parts. Enough room now in the stomach for another heart. I bet you could squeeze it in there. If this keeps up, I'm going to suck in trivia. Yeah. Oh, there's so many things that are just old wives' tales now that were just fact before. And you don't know which ones they are. Okay, speaking of the devil, speaking of ones you don't know which ones they are. So, possums are no longer opossums. It used to be that somehow it was always, when I grew up, they were possums, okay? I never heard of freaking opossums for the first half of my life. And then the second half of my life, suddenly people started calling them opossums. And they were saying that they're the same animal, but for some reason, some bunch of dumbness of us started calling them possums. And it was like a regional dialect thing. And they were really opossums, okay? For a long time, they were the same thing. But now possums are different than opossums. One's in one country and one's in another. And so that's another one. Possums are not opossums anymore. Okay, covered that one. Oh, this one is disgusting. Oh, this one, ugh. Well, it's not disgusting, but it's terrifying. Oh, I started seeing these in some of the survival shows lately, and I was really, trees that like sting you, basically. So, I mean, my old timeline, we had poison oak and poison ivy. I mean, that was pretty much all you really had to worry about. Other than that, there was stinging nettle, but there wasn't anything much worse than that I've not heard of, as long as you didn't, like, eat it, you know. But they've got some nasty trees here. And this one is called, like, the suicide tree. Rainforests of Australia. You guys can keep it. And it's just sort of an innocuous looking thing, too. I mean, it doesn't look that bad. The most toxic of the Australian species of stinging trees. So there's a whole crap load of these. I saw one on the survival show, and that one only supposedly caused a rash for months, but this one is for years. And here's the weird, the fruit is edible if the stinging hairs that cover it are removed. Well, there's stinging hairs on the fruit and all over the plant. But it lasts for years. Silica tipped hairs to penetrate the skin. The hairs cause extremely painful stinging that can last from several hours to 1 to 2 days, recurring in lessening degrees whenever the area is touched, exposed to water or temperature change for a period of usually several months, but it can even last till years. The area comes covered with small red spots, joining together to form a red swollen welt. The hairs are also believed to be released to the air when the plant is cut or cleared in large areas. Workers without respiratory protection have reported nasal bleeding, blah, blah, blah. The sting is famously agonizing. Ernie Ryder, who was slapped in the face and torso with the foliage in 1963, said, "For 2 or 3 days, the pain was almost unbearable. I couldn't work or sleep. Then it was pretty bad for another fortnight or so. Fortnight's like 2 weeks. The stinging persisted for 2 years and recurred every time I had a cold shower. There's nothing to rival it. It's 10 times worse than anything else." The treatment is to apply diluted hydrochloric acid and remove the hairs with the hair removal strip or tape. Anyways, this is totally creepy. And I don't like it. So anyway, I can't 100% swear it's an Emmy, but again, I kind of looked into this when I heard about some of these stinging trees on the survival show, and I didn't hear anything about this thing. Gimpy tree, or Dendrocinide moroides, stinging bush, whatever. All right, I think I only have one left. It's been like 2.5 hours. Library of Alexandria never burned. Yeah, it did for me. But yeah, that one made the round a few months ago. A wise man is one who knows he knows nothing. You know what? That is so true now that the Emmy is here. There's no antidote other than that dilute hydrochloric acid. And then you have to remove every sting intact. If they break off, it makes it worse. And you know a bunch of them are going to break off. These effing things even become airborne. It's ridiculous. They're not really saying how useful the hydrochloric acid is either, I might add. You can remove cacti too after removing the stinger hairs. Yeah, but those are just mechanical. They're poking you. They don't have like this, it's weird because I looked this up and maybe I clicked on something else, but they said they have like this, it has like this nerve agent, the stinging tree. It's not just like needles poking you. And I'll tell you, the last time I got into some stinging nettle, it was way worse than any other previous time. It was just, I don't know how to describe it. It was like, it didn't just itch. It was like literally triggering my nerves to go insane. It was like, the reaction, the minute I touched that nettle, I'm like, ag! It was really nasty. And then it really, I kept looking at my hand thinking for sure that it was a bloody pulp because of the pain level. It just felt like there had to be severe damage to my hand. And I look at it and it was just a little bit red. And it lasted for like 45 minutes. Stinging nettle was never like that for me. I just couldn't believe how bad it was. I used to get into it a little bit, and you're like, oh, it's kind of itchy. Oh my gosh, it's so much more now. Prepare for electrical grid failure, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, nope, I pick a different timeline, sorry. Did butterflies always eat dead bodies? Last I checked, they were just sucking blood. Are they eating dead bodies now? I would say no on both, but... Oh, gross. All right, so it's not just blood anymore. Rotting flute, animal dung, and decaying corpses. Ew. Yeah, that was just blood last we checked. Ew. Flowers did not provide enough sodium, so they were just sucking blood last I checked. If a butterfly lands on you, it's not because it likes you or because you look particularly like a flower. It's because the butterfly was attracted by the smell of salt. Including fruit, but more often poo and the flesh of dead animals and people. They do something called mud paddling. And the nutrition collected from it are sometimes offered to females as a gift preceding mating. What the hell? So butterflies now give gifts? They're like the dumbest thing on earth before. From mud paddling, the butterflies take salts, sugars, and proteins. Some species of butterfly are particularly attracted to human urine for its sodium content. Others prefer dung or carrion for the ammonium ions found. Oh, no. That's so gross. I just saw this show where this guy was in the jungle. It was like some documentary, and he was complaining that every time he peed, there was a whole bunch of butterflies, and I didn't even put it together. He's all, look it, I'm going to pee into a cloud of butterflies. Moths have similar feeding patterns. Some species are even known for their habits of sucking blood from sleeping animals and humans, and others are sadistic enough to feed off of tears. Oh, man. I was going to end on this cute thing, and I'm still trying, but you guys are making it hard. It was only blood last we checked. Somebody else found it in the video. Yeah, gross. I don't know if that's been covered yet, but that's gross. I've seen them eating dog feces. I sure as heck have never seen any such thing, and I have had dogs for a long time. Just like squirrels eating meat. Yeah, I've covered the squirrels eating the meat. Everything eats everything now. I wonder if it's why moths are associated with ghosts. I've never heard of moths being associated with ghosts. I don't know why I want to say goats. Ghosts. That one's a new one for me, actually. I mean, I've heard of moths being associated with the night, but they're because they come out at night. So, but I have not heard of them being associated with ghosts. Do I remember the Arctic fox? Yeah, I do remember. At least for the last 15 years, there's been Arctic fox for me. I only know because a lot of people like to buy those fur tails for anime and stuff, and there is an Arctic version, Arctic fox. It's a white tail. All right, I got one more, and this one's fairly cute. It's about as cute as it gets, with a cute puppy, and nothing bad happens. I saved this one for last, and I'm glad I did. All right, I guess I want the Reddit one. All right, it's probably cross-posted everywhere. All right, so this is really cute. Here's what's weird, though. Hopefully this plays. All right, here we go. It's this little tornado thing. I've never seen. It looks fake to me, but so basically, this little puppy is biting this little tornado. I've never seen such a tiny little tight. It looks fast forwarded, but you can see by the motion of the puppy and these children stomping along that is the real speed of this little tornado dust devil thing. It's going way too fast for me. I've never seen him rip like that. It looks like CGI to me, but... So basically, it's still there because you can see he bites it and it's gone, but his ears still flop up and down, and then it comes back. So I'm going to let it run again, but that looks just fake. It's just fake looking. It's just not right. All right, so I don't know what to say. But it's a cute little puppy. So you got to give me that. They just weren't little dust devils that fast, so violent, even for a tiny dust devil. They used to just be really lazy for me in my old timeline. They were just, maybe 20, like a fifth that speed, 20% that speed. Supposedly a dead person's spirit can appear as a bunch of moths flying together. I don't know, maybe it was on some horror story or something, but I don't watch a lot of the horror stories. Mothman. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I was always told that butterflies are not nasty bugs that carry diseases like cockroaches because they only drink flower nectar. Exactly. They didn't even drink out of fruits for me. It was just flowers. Only flowers and just flowers. I I'm afraid to say we're probably going to see some of that with the bees also, and some of the other things. I've already started reading some things where bees were attracted to other sugar sources. So I would not be shocked at all if we see that with bees. Anyway, it was always some creepy horror thing. I don't know, that butterflies. The thing is, I remember seeing the butterflies eating off of something creepy, like in a horror movie. It was butterflies. Like the whole idea was that something so precious and pure as a butterfly that only ate nectar would be eating off a corpse. That was what was so creepy about that imagery back then. Once or twice I saw it. It was trying to basically say that these are like opposite land butterflies. But I've never, they don't, I'm sorry, no, they didn't do that. And I just looked into this, was it like 5-6 months ago when they were saying that butterflies sometimes drink blood. And it was only blood and rotten fruit back then. It was not anything else when I looked into it. So I specifically looked into this when the first part of the Emmy came out, and there was no dead bodies back then. And they only wanted the salt, but now they're attracted to these other nutrients and the dead bodies and stuff. I guess they swarm around the butter too for the butterflies. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Good question. I am convinced there are two perceptions playing out: what we see and what everyone says is happening. My family talks about seeing things I don't all the time. Yeah, I don't know on that one. I feel like stuff's touching me. That's something I wonder about. Like, are we all in slightly different realities? And like, who was it that the spider on me? Ugh. Little one, thankfully. It was Life Matrix had that. He kind of flipped out when he saw the purple jacaranda trees. They're very beautiful trees, and he had never seen them bloom before until I think it was 2 years ago. Oh, $2. Thank you, Belinda. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So these beautiful purple jacarandas that we have in San Diego and Los Angeles. And when I moved to Los Angeles in the 90s, I saw them for the first time because we did not have jacarandas up north. It's a little too cold for them further north. Let's see this. They're beautiful trees. You can't not see these when they're in bloom. A lot of times they bloom when all the leaves are off. They bloom every year, and they bloom for a couple weeks. So unless you're living in a cave, and Life Matrix was someone who had to drive around a lot, assuming you're not living in a cave and you're driving around, you will see them. You can't not see them. So he flipped out about 2 years ago. He saw the purple for the first time, and he'd lived in San Diego a long time. So there's no freaking way he couldn't have seen them. So I'm just thinking that, for a long time he was in a timeline where they weren't bright purple, and then he flopped into a timeline where they were bright purple, whereas I was in a timeline where they were bright purple, at least since I lived in LA. Now I wonder if me and him would talk and say those are pretty trees and him not see the color like I do. That's a good question. I would think that might be possible, but I do actually see actual changes in so many people, like money bags, his name, his login name changed, and Mandela affected. His eyebrow is sometimes missing half and other times it's not. And when it changes in every video, includes his old ones. So it's not like he's shaving it or something, It's retroactive when it changes. There's different versions of him. There's different versions, and then all their videos change, and the changes I remember in their videos, they don't remember. I'm like, when you did this video, it was like this and like this, and like I was talking to Mandela Affected, and he did not remember any of that. He thinks his videos change, but not the way I remember them changing. So there has to be different versions of us also. So I don't know. That's what's so crazy about the ME is you can't find one explanation for all the things we've seen, for all the patterns. There's not one explanation. It doesn't quite work. So there's no magic Occam's razor answer to it all, that at least not that we've figured out. And I think we all keep smacking our head on the wall, looking for clues, and not getting there yet. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more clues and there'll be more answers. But anyways, Belinda, $2. Thank you. Is that the second one? I appreciate that. I think you guys really should think about doing a UK meetup. Somewhere in the middle, maybe, or at somebody's house. I was thinking maybe Mandela Affected would do it, but it seems like he's a little distrustful about just any old people meeting. I have not had a problem. I've not heard of any problems at any meetups thus far. I personally think if the government wanted to find us, they would have zero problem locating us in our homes using our ISPs and stuff. So I personally don't worry about it, but UK people, drop into my latest terrible video. Bill Emmy. Yeah, anyway, one of you guys maybe ought to schedule something if you can. I think the Emmy is a multifaceted religious, spiritual, science, etc., myth, reality, like a singularity reality collapsing into itself, related to CERN. You left that part off. Yeah, I don't know. Because there's the timeline thing, and that explains some things. The download thing explains some things. Then there's like the evolutionary aspects of it, though, also. Then you've got a lot of parallels in the Bible. So, it really does look like it's some kind of Bible thing, too, just because it's in other things doesn't mean. I don't look at things as mutually exclusive. There's the evolution theory, and then there's Bible stuff. That word of they don't use the evolution in the Bible, but I think that what the Bible describes is basically sorting the wheat from the chaff, and then the people that are left will live 1,000 years of peace and stuff. You could definitely say that there's an evolution there. So I don't find them all to be mutually exclusive, let's just say. I can say that I think there's an evolution, and that doesn't mean I don't think the Bible stuff is also right. I do think there's a grand plan behind it. Kali Yuga, yeah, it's not. There's more similarities than there are differences between these theories. That's all I have to say on that. Well, it's not all I have to say, but there are so many CERNs. It's hard for me to blame it on CERN because CERN has gone backwards in time. It's more of a symptom in an ME for me. CERN was kind of a newish thing for me, and now it was responsible for the creation of the World Wide Web in this timeline. No freaking way. So to me, it's hard for me to think of something as both a symptom and a cause. To me, CERN is an ME. So it's hard for me to imagine it causing the ME. UK meetup in London. Yeah, you guys know UK, so maybe you should all trot over to like either Bill ME or Tronites. If some of you have one, does one of you have a channel? Bill ME has a channel, and just kind of accumulate over there and chit chat, because you guys are gonna have to contact each other somehow. I don't want people to know where I live or donation you see the currency. If I could switch it to dollars. Okay. Whatever, it doesn't hurt anything. Anyways, yeah, I think you guys should all like go over to maybe Bill Emmy's channel since he has one. And if you want to do a meetup, even if like just 2 people come, it's still fun. You meet at some like restaurant and then nobody knows where anybody lives, so. All right, yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning here, so it's about time for me to head on out. I'll run over to YouTube here. So, thank you all for coming. You guys have contributed a lot as usual. Even though I didn't know if I really wanted to know about those butterflies, but that's okay. Thank you all for coming. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.